Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Warhammer Meta Chasers. I am your host, or one of your hosts, Adam Camilleri. I'm joined by the mogul Dustin Henshaw, as Paul would say.
How are you, everybody? We are being joined by Paul's visage.
Yeah, we can't handle the truth. Can't handle the
We
meta.
can't handle the meta.
Paul is on his holiday, and hopefully he's enjoying it somewhere beautiful, doing some awesome stuff with his family. But we have three fantastic events to get you hyped for, and that would be the London Grand Tournament, the second biggest event, singles event in the freaking world. It was very much, on the docket for it to be the biggest 40K event we've ever had, but they've come up a little short, to great chagrin. Hopefully they're ashamed of themselves. No, they're not. It's 830 players. It's going to be ridiculous. We've also got your event, Dustin. Well, what is that one?
The Studs Selling Team event, a massive team event for Canada. They are 208 players, 26 teams of 8. It's going to be crazy. I'm super excited and absolutely exhausted right now.
The 8-player team event's really taking off the world over, which we love to see because it is the perfect number for the pairings to be massively impactful and for everyone to just deep dove into their list constructions, their army makeup, their team makeup,
which I bet you're going to see in the faction breakdown of that event because it's very different than what I was expecting.
It's very different. And then lastly, we have the Flying Monkey Kong, 125 players, I believe, a 6-rounder over in Wichita, Kansas. But first up, we're going to kick it off because we do have a bit of a long show. Thank you to everybody who joins us in chat, because you can watch this live. Should you be at all meta curious, you can join us live and get the full visual experience and chicanery that we provide at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have a beautiful Patreon where you can get a part 2 to this show where we look back on the events that we have covered, give you a full top 10 breakdown, unpack one of the lists that did well. Usually we try and get one of the off-meta lists that did very well, made the top 10. And then we also tell you guys who of our hosts got the points that week, because we do have a little inter-host challenge. And this is going to be the last week of that challenge. And we're all within 2 points of each other.
It's a close one. It is a close
6
one.
points. 5 points and 4 points. And if you want to know who's on what, come over and join us at the Patreon. That'll be all over screen right now. But let's jump into the LG freaking T, one of the keystone events of the calendar year from London, of course, England. 831 players, 10 rounds. What are we going to see there, my man?
We will be seeing 3 Imperial agents. I have not said this yet, so there we go. 3 Imperial agents. Pure Imperial agents. Mad lads. 45 Sisters of Battle, 30 Custodes, 18 Admechs, 46 Astra Militarum, 35 Grey Knights, 20 Imperial Knights, Space Marines, 42 Adeptus Astartes, 35 Dark Angels, 22 Space Wolves, 39 Blood Angels, 22 Black Templar. Chaos, there's 50 Chaos Space Marines, 36 T-Suns, 45 Death Guard, 45 World Leaders, 33 Demons, and 10 Chaos Knights. Xenos, there's 56 Necrons, 36 Orcs, 35 Tau, 28 Votan. Wow, that's a big number for them.
Yep.
Highmind, there's 45 Tyranids. Yes. 15 G's to the Cult. I love it. Eldari, there's 26 Drukhari and 34 Eldari, meaning the faction podium is Necrons, topping off this big LGT with 56. Chaos Space Marines not too far behind them with 50. Then Astra Militarum next to them with 46. And then Nids, World Eaters, Death Guard, and Sisters all tied at 45 representation. And then Adeptus Astartes at 42.
Now, with 830 players, it is very unusual to have so many, like in our fourth position. The 45, the number just kept coming up when I was searching. Yeah. I had to double and triple search to make sure that was 100% true and correct, that no one had like a World Eaters as their club name or something, or, Sororitas of the sorority, I don't know. And just to make sure they were all 45, because I thought that was absolutely bizarre that we could have 4 on 45 in 800 players.
That's crazy.
But is there anything on that faction podium interesting to you?
There's a couple things that are interesting to me. One, the fact that Imperial Knights are doubling Chaos Knights. Neither one of them in huge representation, but I always thought that the Chaos Knights were the more popular ones. But here we are.
Well, with the addition of Imperial Agents, also, I think they took... So Chaos Knights could already go through walls, right? They could already go through walls. It wasn't a big deal for them, and they weren't playing big knights anyway. They're still not playing big knights anyway, so they're still not taking huge advantage of that change, whereas Imperial Knights got a massive boost because every single Imperial Knights list, at a minimum, takes freaking Canis Rex. So at a just base level, like their army got like 20% better. So they're starting to, I believe, take over from Chaos Knights. And then when Imperial Knights players get very savvy with all the multitude of different wonky and amazing things Imperial agents can add to that army,
There's so much
I think
stuff
they're
in
even
there.
going to go to an even bigger level, which we will see represented in your event, my man, in Studs and Snotlings coming up soon. But we have a huge amount of we have 4 lists to break down for different reasons. But before we jump over there, I wanted to denote the downturn in Thousand Suns representation here. So I would have expected Thousand Suns to make our podium in 1 through 5, somewhere in there. But they're actually on the downside. They're on 36. I would have expected them to be in the mid 40s.
Yeah, with that many players, I don't know. Maybe they're just that's all the T-Suns players that can go to this event right now. It's awesome. There are a lot of T-Suns players, and it's very popular. It is a very powerful faction. We know that. We've seen this multiple times. If you've watched or listened to the second part of our last show, you will know exactly how much they've been winning just last weekend alone. So it's not to say that they aren't strong. The drop of representation is. I'm not going to say. I'm not going to call it a drop of representation because this is a massive event, right? Massive event. And Chaos Space Marines. Everybody has those. It's almost it is the Chaos version of the Space Marines that everybody owns of your Imperium, right?
Correct. Right? And there are some Chaos Space Marine lists, at least one we're going to be unpacking in a moment by Mr. Josh Roberts, number 2 in the world in the ITC, who's bringing Thousand Suns along with the Chaos Space Marines. So maybe that is a route some are taking also. But it's suffice to say, last week we only covered team events. And last week, Thousand Suns dominated the world. Yeah. So we will see what happens because maybe this week we're covering 2.
Maybe it's a thing.
Maybe it's a teams versus singles thing. Imperial Agents with 3. Well done. Thank you. Love to see it. Astra Militarum having great numbers as well. I think that's a leaning towards the LGT terrain format. So for those who don't know, we pretty much got 3 terrain versions in the wild, in the meta at the moment. We have Games Workshop terrain, which is kind of in the middle. It's kind of not better for shooting, not better for combat. We have WTC terrain, which is a little better for combat than it is for shooting. There's still plenty of good firing lanes, but you've got to work a little harder for them. Like you don't have any good firing lanes in your deployment zone. You're gonna move about 8 inches, towards the top of the table or the bottom of the table to get to the firing lanes, which is by design. And then you have LGT, which is a little bit more judicious for the shooting armies, which I think would denote Guard getting good representation here. In addition to what you said about Votan.
Yeah.
So if we look at our faction breakdown, Necrons can up and down into any firing lane at will. Astra Militarum love the shooting game. And surprisingly, Death Guard don't mind the shooting game either. And in addition to Adeptus Astartes and Sororitas, bringing the Castigators. And I did look at some of the Adeptus Astartes list. There are a couple of Ironstorms still kicking about there in the meta as well.
We have seen some of the Chaos Space Marines, they'll start to go really shooting heavy too. Like not just with the Cursed Cultists, but although there's some that are backed up by not just Forge Fiends, but Vindicators that we've been seeing. Yeah.
Vindy's Present Forge Fiends plus the Cursed Cultists. Great list.
Yeah,
whatever. Just great list. Yeah, fantastic. Take your utility unit of choice, and you have an A tier, if not S tier, conglomeration.
Yep.
But let's jump into. Last one I wanted to do because in massive events, I always like to see what Space Marines are doing and where the biggest numbers are. Biggest numbers for Space Marines, apart from being in vanilla Astartes, which is a huge surprise to us, which is going against the meta that we've had probably the last 3 months. We have a vanilla Astartes being represented more than Dark Angels and Blood Angels. And then, funnily enough, Templars and Space Wolves have the same number at 22, which is very quizzical to me. But Blood Angels is the sub-faction of choice for Adeptus Astartes still. And we'll have to wait and see when their points drop. Now that the FOMO boxes are out in the wild, what their actual points delineations are, and then we'll see where they find their true home in the meta.
I like it.
But we have 2 lists to break down from patron submissions. That is a thing that we do on this show. Should you be all interested in that? If we are covering an event that you are going to and you are a patron of ours, more than likely, unless we have an absolute deluge, we will cover your list on the show. First up is Arthur Wilding. This is a mate of a Patreon. So a patron was like, look, you can cover my list on the show, but I've got a mate who would love it even more. And he sent us his name. And so Arthur Wilding, he's a mate of a Patreon, and he is playing Eldari Battle Host. Kicks it off with a Death Jester with Fate's Messenger, Vizark, and Yvraine, 10 Storm Guardians, a Wave Serpent, 5 Rangers, 2x5 Striking Scorpions, 2x5 Swooping Hawks, a big unit of Max Troop to go with Yvraine and the Vizark, 3x5 Warp Spiders, 10 Cabalites, Lilith, 3 Reavers, 2x5 Scourges, and a Venom. What do you make of that, brother?
That is so much MSU, and I love it. I love Eldar MSU, and I love mixing both together, like the Dark Eldar and Eldar and Harlequin. This is everything.
Yeah, the 2 units here that are missing for me, the 3rd unit of Scourges is not represented, which I think is extremely strong.
But without the powerful pain, it's hard to justify all of them, right? Like they're still good,
exactly right.
But it's hard to justify them without the powerful pain.
Well, I played against Drukhari this weekend just gone with Guard, and I just pop smoke versus him every time. And then Scourges are hitting on 5s, even with rerolls. You're like, well, sometimes I remember one time he got 1 hit with his Dark Lancers on 4 shots hitting on 5s rerolling. I'm like, oh, cool.
All right.
not a problem. Because he was shooting at Rogel Dawn, so not a big deal. The 2x5 Striking Scorpions make absolute sense. 2x5 Swooping Hawks make absolute sense. So does the troops. So do the Warp Spiders. And the only thing, so the thing I was scratching my head over is the 3rd Warp Spider unit over the 3rd Scourge unit, or the other unit that's missing here is Mandrakes.
That's true.
I would love to have seen 1 unit of Mandrakes in this, but apart from that, I think this list is bordering on perfection with one thing. Unless I've missed it, Lilith doesn't have a unit to join. So she's probably just hanging out in a Venom by herself with 5 Cabalites. Is that a good play in your mind, or is that a bit of a mistake?
I do think that she wants to have at least 5 witches with her. Like she's still good, but she doesn't get her bonus, bro? Does she?
Yeah, I feel like she doesn't get fights first, unless she can join Cabalites, which I did not think she could.
I'm pretty sure she can't.
Yeah, pretty sure she can't.
But she is the witch lady.
By herself, she's just like kind of like a better solitaire, right?
She is, for sure.
Yeah,
she absolutely is a better solitaire.
Yeah, so she can just be used in that mode, which I don't dislike, but that was one thing that popped into my head. That like usually, we'd see 10 witches, they get broken up by the Venom, but I suppose in this case, it's much better to break up the Cabalites, so you have sticky objective opportunities.
Yep.
Which is a big play for this army, seeing as you don't have a lot of OC to hang out on objectives. You only really have the Guardians, the Storm Guardians, hanging out with anything better than OC 1. So therefore, like you're holding your objectives with 5 OC most of the time. So sticky is a really big play for this list, and I think Arthur's done a good job crafting this. It's got a good spread of range damage output in a bunch of different modes, like the Swooping Hawks, for Accursed Cultists and things of that modes, Warp Spiders for shenanigans plus flamer stuff. One really good melee unit in the troop with Vizark in your range, so Vizark giving them fights first. And then your range's no slouch either.
No. Ukraine's actually pretty good too. Like, that's actually that makes me sad that Lilith is not with the witches then, because that would be 2 fights first units. That's scary.
Yeah. I think she has fights first all the time. I think
she
just doesn't get her extra AP, extra strength outside of it. Someone in chat will probably correct us.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen her by herself, so I don't know what she gets just from joining and what she has on her own.
But yeah, 3 Reavers. I like that. I like the 3 Reavers plus as the utility unit you bring. I suppose the 3 Reavers could be Mandrakes, but I think I like the Reavers quite a lot in this, because turn 1, you pull behind enemy lines, you can shoot out Warp Spiders and Reavers and just cap it both. I like that a lot for those first turn shenanigans. And plus the Reavers are actually kind of hilarious doing a couple of pinch mortals when you add into, all the other things your army can do. Like you put in 3 5s of your choice, and then the Reavers do a couple of flyover mortals, and you can kind of get yourself over the line.
Yeah, they can make a big difference when you're just that little bit of extra damage, because mortal wounds are a big deal, especially against the stuff that you're going to have trouble shooting with, because he doesn't have too many anti-tank stuff, except for like the Scourge. Probably the Wave Serpent has Bright Lances on it.
Yeah, you'd assume. But yeah, that is the things that make me worried about this. Like if you play against a 4 Sagittar double Hecaton Votan list, I'm not quite sure what you do.
Yeah, well, you just try to outscore it, right? Avoid
exactly right. You actually just like, well, I'm not even going to try and kill your transports. I'm just going to mob them, charge them with nonsense, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
There's a lot of different plays. Yeah. Lilith has a fights first standard.
So
she loses the strength and AP.
Okay, so it's not devastating then. That's not bad.
She's got anti-infantry. She doesn't care. Yeah, she doesn't care. She doesn't care.
She doesn't care. Like, depending on where you want to go into, that's just kind of beeline serve for what you're going to put her into.
Yeah. So I like that a lot. The fact that she has fights first still, I think she's fantastic. And also she can play defense, sitting in your back line, just kind of, hiding in a nook or a cranny and just like offering up that potential heroic intervention nonsense. And I like that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, good list by Arthur. Hopefully you enjoyed our review, and very much thank your mate, Heinrich. whose list we're doing next, because this was the good mate. This was the guy who was like, don't cover my list, cover Arthur's.
We're doing it anyway.
You're too good a mate. I'm doing it anyway. So he is a patron of ours, and he threw up his mate to get the spotlight, but we had to do him too. So he is playing Blood Angels, Sons of Sanguinius. He's got a captain with a jump pack with Artisan of War, Dante and Lamades, 2 Sang Priests with jump packs, and then 10 5/5 Assault Intercessors with jump packs, 10 Death Company with jump packs, of course, getting Lamades, 5 Infiltrators, 10 Sangard.
Ooh, he's getting ready for the Codex. They're dropping him points. He knows it. He knows something we don't.
But also four of those models are dropping off as well, considering the 6 man. Of course, they'll go with Dante. They'll be -1 hit, -1 to wound, which is actually kind of sick, with an Armor of Contempt option there as well. 2x5 Scouts, 10 Vanguard Veterans who will get the second of the same priest. The other one will go with the 10 Assault Intercessors, and then a Calidus Assassin.
It's so much killy.
So it's 4 premium melee units. You got 10 Assault Intercessors with the Sang Priest, who will jump out, do 3 mortals with a grenade, charge in, possibly do 6 mortals on average with 11 dice, 5 or 6. You can just do 8 mortals and then charge in and probably almost certainly kill just about anything in the game that isn't a large knight or something of that ilk. The Death Company with Lamades, -1 damage, feel no pain, fantastic unit. 10 Sangard with Dante, fantastic unit. Very expensive. The use of that unit is going to be the make or break of Henrik's list. If he gets max value out of the Sangard, fantastic. The worst thing that can happen to a Sangard unit is someone throws a grenade at him and then tank shocks him with some chimera or something and kills like 4 of them. You're like, well, shit.
Well, that sucks.
And then you got the Vanguard vets, who of course will have a good invuln save and a feel no pain, and then a Calidus for all the grindy melee matchups. So if you ever find yourself, facing Deathwing Knights or anything like that, you can be like, well, your Armor Attempt costs 2 CP, and I'm going to hit you all these Power Fists, and good luck to you, sir. I like that a lot.
People underestimate the Vectora now. Like, it actually is devastating if you place them right the right time.
It's such a pain, man.
It's brutal.
Such a pain. Yeah. The utility units here with the 5 Infiltrators to hold your backfield. There are a lot of Necrons here and a couple of Grey Knights. So Uppy Down is definitely something to watch out for. I think if you can take Infiltrator-esque units, you should absolutely be taking them, especially in singles play at the moment. And 2x5 Scouts for his utility. That's probably enough, considering he's also got the 2x5 jump back intercessor. So 5 solid utility units, 2 of which go up and down. The other 2, move 12 inches and do some stuff. And 5 Infiltrators to either hold your backfield or zone out so you can take position in the front field. I think there's a really well put together list.
I like it. I like it a lot. The Sons of Sanguinius just puts it over the top with all this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. The only one in my mind, like I said, is the Sangard unit. If you give up trade the Sangard unit too early or for not enough, all of a sudden, you probably
got to respect the guy for taking it, right? Because
dude,
we haven't seen this.
Massive props. England's WTC list took, if I remember right, 110 of Sangard, or was it a couple of 5s of Sangard?
I think it was.
They were very.
I think it was 2 5s, 1 5.
They were very Sangard heavy, for what I remember. They had 2x10 jump pack Death Company, and then if I remember right, they had either 2x5 or 10 and 5. Sangard. And so it could definitely be a England meta thing that's starting to take off over there. So absolutely agree. I do think there's a bunch of armies in the meta that Sangard just kind of giggle at.
Yeah,
like you talk about the Emitic heavy destroyers in Hypercrypt, where they just kind of one shot everything. But when you're -1 to hit, you're -1 to wound, and you are 2+ with AOC, they just kind of absolutely just do not give 2 shits about that unit anymore.
Unless you just roll ones all day.
You would have to roll so many ones.
Many
ones. But anyway, great list by Heinrich. I actually really rate this. I'm keen to see how he does. We have 2 more lists to break down from the LGT. Of course, 800 player events do get a lot of screen time on our show. Next up, we have number 1 in the ITC in the world, Kyle Grundy, playing his Tau Empire. He's got a Callion. He's got a Cold Star Commander with Exemplar of the Callion, 2x10 breaches, 2x10 strikes. I was astounded at how cheap strike teams are. They're like 70 points for strikes, whereas breaches are 100. He's got a single Devilfish, so just the one. 3 plasma fire knife suits, 3 hammerheads, 2 of which have ion, 1 has a rail. I do like that delineation as well. I like that being able just to threaten the one shot on transports, because at times transports can actually be a little bit hard to handle with some of these. Like, you could all of a sudden you can find yourself shooting 3 riptides at a single transport.
Yep,
and
sure.
it's just such a waste of points. 10 Kroot, 10 Pathfinders, triple riptides, all with ions, and then 3x3 stealth suits. Now, Kyle has been I suppose, the forerunner in the world at stating the claim for Kauyon still being an extremely powerful way to play the game. We've seen a huge uptick in retaliation cadre in the last couple of months, and before that, on release of the codex, it was Monkar everywhere. But Kyle's been pretty much, slapping his hand on the table, being like, Kauyon is still fantastic. What do you make of this list?
I really like this list, actually. I love the 3 riptides. I just feel like the 3 riptides with the 3 hammerheads and 3 crisis suits, that's the core of most Tau lists now, because that's the damage. And I really like the 2 ion 1 rail. I really like that.
Yeah.
Same thing you said. Be able to threaten that transport with one-shotting it, so you have to really be careful with those kind of things. I mean, usually with Tau, you put out a transport, you are usually expecting it to die, but dying to 1 rail when there's 3 riptides, a bunch of crisis waiting to kill whatever's in there.
Yeah, correct.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, because you can have your ions all wounding on 4s into a lot of transports, and of course, if they have a smoke or an armor contempt, all of a sudden you're going to be, your marker light's negated. You're going to be hitting back on 4s, possibly wounding on 4s into, like, maybe even a 5-up save, and things can get icky. But that 1 rail will just get respect. Will just get respect from your opponent, and they will kind of pack their pants a lot of the time. And because you have that 1-shot availability, the ions are then free to just, like, hunt the contents, so to speak. So yeah, I think this is an extremely good list. It is pretty standard. I will say that Kyle has made a huge choice here. The biggest choice he's made here is to go only single character. 1 character. That's it. He's saved a bunch of points and he's been able to fill out the rest of his list with a huge amount of stuff. He just has so much stuff. Like 4 infantry bricks plus Kroot plus Pathfinders plus 3x3 stealth suits. And then he has 1 premium crisis bomb, 3 good battle tanks, and 3 good monsters with the Riptide. So he's got 7 power units, but behind them, he's just got infinity utility. And I think this really shows his strength as a player. He's going to play the board really, really, really well.
Oh, he's top of the ITC for a reason, right?
For a reason. And hot on his heels, Josh Roberts, number 2 in the world in the ITC. And this is a very unique Chaos Space Marines Renegade Raiders list. This is medium value MSU done right. 3 Chaos Lords, no enhancements. Maximum 6x5 Legionaries. So 6x5. A single unit of 10 Cultists, 4 Rhinos to tote everything around, triple Predator Destructor, and then 4x5 Rubric Marines. It's just 10 quality MSU units, all with good armor saves. All, if you're on an objective, like the Legionaries are actually terrifying. They're actually terrifying. Extra AP from Renegade Raiders, plus a bunch of other buffs, plus the 4 rerolls and all that stuff. 3 Chaos Lords to, situationally go Super Saiyan, especially if you're on an objective. They'll get 4 rerolls to wound as well if they're joining the Legionaries, which they have to. I don't think they can. They can't join the rubrics. So it's going to have 3 can level up melee bombs. Mini chosen, so to speak. And then he's going to have 4 Rubric Marine units that can just all do shenanigans and Overwatch and all sorts of bits and pieces. I love this list. I think this is really good.
Do way more than people expect. They're actually scary.
They're terrifying, my man. Terrifying for their points. And some people are saying they should go down in points because everyone expects things like, well, to be fair, I kind of agree. Like, chosen are almost pointed out of the game. Like they're a very high points cost for the chosen, when what you can get for their points in other books like Blade Guard, Sword Brethren, equivalents, Inner Circle Companions now as well. For those 3 wound Marine profiles, they're very exy, and they only have the same ceiling as, say, Sword Brethren. Sword Brethren can even pop off even higher when they're toting around somebody like Helbrecht. So. Right. I'm okay, and people are expecting things like a Cursed Cultist to get punted into the sun, which please do. I'm so done with that unit. So done. Let's get it going. And so I think, it might be fair that Legionaries go down, 5 or 10 points for 5 at least, just as a little token. We know we're screwing over your best lists once again. We'll give you a little something in in respect of that.
So what do you feel about the Predators? Because they seem fairly underwhelming to me, only because of the AP or lack thereof.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, the AP goes up by 2 in this army against infantry on objectives. Infantry on objectives, they'll be
So it's
AP
meant to
3.
kill infantry anyway. So I guess that helps with the strength, because the strength
but
profile is a little lower to kill big stuff too, right?
well, this is what's awkward. The whole list kills infantry so well
Yeah.
already. Like the legionaries annihilate other infantry units. Only Deathwing Knights, Bulgrin, and things like that will cop a Chaos Lord 5 legionaries on an objective without breaking a sweat, without being worried. It's the Predator structures are a bit weird to me because they don't crack transports not on objectives very well. They will have 2 las cannons,
of course,
in tote as well. There's no way you put the heavy bolters on them in this list at least. But yeah, like even just like 3 predators shooting at like a hecaton, they don't kill it.
No, they barely hurt it a lot of the time.
Yeah, they have to bank on the lethals to make sure they get through. So this is a very interesting list though. I like this archetype, and I think this could be the pivot archetype post points changes if what people expect to happen happens, where a cursed cultist just gets shot out of a cannon into space.
Which, let's be real, they're pretty oppressive.
They're disgusting.
They have been for a while.
Absolutely revolting, and they are so oppressive. But Josh Roberts will do very well with this list. There are some things in the meta that I think he's going to struggle with. So I don't know what, so I actually think this list may struggle with Nids and Necrons. Does this list cop being put in jail well also? Like things like, Admech Bird Jail can actually be a problem for this list as well, because it's got no scout. It has no scout. There's no upgrades on it, so he doesn't even taken the scouting option on one of the Chaos Lords to put in the Rhino to push up. So I am a little worried that this list, if put in jail, doesn't get itself out very well. Although it shoots better than you think.
Yes,
it does, because each one of is going to have 6 of the chain cannons. And then the rubrics all have flamers, so it's not the worst thing in the world. But in a protracted shooting war, I could see this losing. Like things like guard, 18 Bulgrin guard, I think just kind of don't really care about this list.
I don't know. I think they still be able to deal with the Bulgrin. It wouldn't be easy, but it could definitely do it.
It's dealing with the Bulgrin in addition to 2 Dawns and 2 tank commanders. That could be the problem.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But I mean, whatever they shoot at, they're going to kill anyway, so they might even start splitting fire, and that kind of to Josh's benefit. I don't know. I'm curious. I'm curious to see all those matchups.
Yeah, I could see there being some reds in the wild for this. I mean, in addition, the Kyle Grundy is the tower list, of course. There's nothing in the game right now that doesn't have a red, which is a great thing to say about the meta.
Yes, that is a great thing to say. That's why we love the meta right now.
Yeah.
That's why
all right, that brings us to the end of our LGT coverage, which means it's time to pick some winners. And as default, Paul will be on picking Blood Angels for the entirety of today's episode, which unfortunately could do him very well. But my dude, what would you like here?
I am going to back the Tau in this one.
Yeah, I think it's hard not to back the number 1 player in the world. But with good representation and good numbers, I am going CSM.
CSM is also a very good pick.
So we just picked the number 1 and number 2 players in the world. Yeah. We're so clever.
We're so clever. We are so good at predicting the meta, and when we're both wrong, it'll be even
top
better.
Shelf. Yeah, it's going to be Blood Angels all the way.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have your event, mate, and you're going to do this whole one. You're going to do the whole thing until we get to the list breakdown.
Oh, okay.
Tell us about your event, Dustin.
Okay.
Feel free to give us a little story
if I have to. So the Studs and Styling event
your arm, mate.
has this is our second time doing it. The first time was last year. We only did 5 mans because the 8-man team only kind of broke into the North American area last year. Still pretty fresh, right? So. Yeah, I think it was just last year.
Pretty much. I mean, a player team events has been a thing in Australia and Europe, and that's it. And now it's just kind of exploding in the rest of the world.
Yeah, and I'm all for it because I absolutely love teams event. Like you said earlier on, it's just it makes the pairing a lot better. It brings out more lists and more diversity, and the teams that you're going to see. It's just pinnacle of 40K. I'm super excited for it.
To expand upon that, when you have five armies to pick, you can just kind of pick the best armies.
That's true,
right? That's it. You got 4 best armies, and then your faction specialist on their thing that they're specially good at. You get to 8, and you got to start making some really hard choices and some decisions, and that makes all the difference.
Yeah, which always super excited about because I love seeing new stuff and I love seeing things you would never see before, which we're seeing a lot more of now. That's why I love the 8-mans. But we have swapped over to 8-man, so this is our first time running an 8-man event, and it is massive. 208 players, 26 teams of 8, which is very large for Canada. I think that's usually, I think the max is like 20 teams of 8. That's usually what we're at. Like,
I mean, I won't. No, I don't know for sure, but this is kind of the biggest Canadian event that I've seen come up. I don't know. You'd probably know better, but
there are some very large ones around here. I honestly don't pay attention as much to it because I love just going to them and finding out how big they all are. We are big. We're going to get bigger because we love this.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby.
So the max we can see from any number, any faction is 26.
26.
You can only take each codex once, and that of course means Space Marines. You can only have one Space Marine of any delineation in your 8-pack. But take it away, mate.
All right, let's go. So the Imperial Super Faction, there are 10 Sisters of Battle, 7 Custodes, 4 Adamec, 9 Astra Militarum, 10 Grey Knights, and 14 Imperial Knights. Space Marines, there's 3 Adeptus Astartes, 6 Dark Angels, 1 Space Wolf, 6 Blood Angels, and 4 Black Templar. Chaos, there's 11 Chaos Space Marines, 13 T-Suns, 13 Death Guard, 8 World Eaters, 8 Demons, and 9 Chaos Knights. Xenos, there's 13 Necrons, 9 Orcs, 13 Tau, 5 Votan. Hive Mind, there's 11 Tyranids and 2 Genestealer Cult. And no, I'm not playing in my own event, so these are 2 other people. Eldari is 7 Drukhari and 12 Ardari, meaning the faction podium is Imperial Knights topping it off with 14. And then Tau, Necrons, T-Suns, and Death Guard tied in second with 13. Eldari in third with 12. And then Tyranid CSM right behind them with 11. Grey Knights and Sororitas right behind them with 10. What do you think of our meta here, Adam?
10 factions making up the podium. Technically, Adeptus Astartes is number 1 with 20.
Of course.
I left it off just because we all just know that's the thing. And it's just not that interesting to see it at the top of every single one.
To be fair, it is interesting to note that not every team took the Space Marine list.
Correct. 6 teams did not take Adeptus Astartes in any form, which is very kind of spice. Because I'm always of the opinion when you have like 13 flavors of Space Marine that you can take.
You gotta have somebody on your team that wants to play one of those, right? It kind of works.
Yeah, one of them is going to be good enough to take in your 8-pack.
Yeah.
But surprise, 6 didn't. So 20 Adeptus Astartes in total. But dude, what Imperial Knights? Explain. Was this just some crazy Ontario meta thing? Tell us a story there. What's going on?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you because it's the first time I've seen it. It surprised me, and I do know a lot of the guys have been taking both Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights now because
what a coincidence!
It's pretty cool, right? They work pretty well together. And again, you'll notice that there are no Imperial Agent solo in here.
Well, yeah.
Most of these Imperial Knights, like guaranteed,
have Imperial Agents.
Have Imperial Agents.
Yeah, as they should. It's so very, very, very good taken in tandem. I will say, a lot of people paid attention to the WTC this year. Team Sweden played for the win in the last round versus Spain with double knights, and they did extremely well. They showed the world that is still a thing. You can still pin, pair, sandwich people in the pairings with double knights. And I think it's stupendously strong. And it's just speaking to what we were saying previously about Imperial Knights really being on the rise. Hell, I feel like playing Imperial Knights at the moment. I find them very exciting, very interesting play patterns and styles at the moment.
Well, there you go. So you're getting the bug too.
Just want to bowling ball Canis Rex into people. Just bowling ball Canis Rex.
I feel like there should be like a bowling ball mode for that model because you should. In some games, that's what you do with them.
Yeah, and you have to yell, "Oh yeah!" anytime Canis Rex goes over a wall.
Oh yeah!
Oh yeah! I really feel like you could have one of those clickers that just has voice lines in it.
Usually we do that for WOGs being called, but we could do that for that.
Yeah. Imperial Knights deserve it now as well.
That's right.
Dude, so technically 11 factions in the top 5, counting in, and that's pretty good for a 200-player event. Not super surprising. Tau, Necrons, T-Suns, and Death Guard all being in the silver position. 13 teams taking those is no surprise whatsoever. Death Guard is the one, and I suppose France, won the WTC, only the truly undefeated team at the WTC. Because every other team had taken a draw, and they played Death Guard as their first put up. Do you think that's what people are copying?
I think that definitely would help their decision to take them, right? Because if they're going to be successful and team events with the most winning team in WTC.
Yeah.
Feel like that's probably a good metric to go by, right?
I mean, I'll straight up say I don't believe Death Guard have much ability to push and get big wins. I just don't think that's a thing that they have like all the time. There are definitely some matchups they can do that in, but more likely than not, they're the opposite. There are a list that people can't push.
They can't push into, and I think that's actually really important to note, because Death Guard may not be able to push on a dime, but they can pressure your opponent really well. There's actually a Death Guard player local here that I play quite a bit, and he has definitely made me realize how good Death Guard can be. Like, they are very frustrating to fight against. They can really control the game.
Plague Marines are still one of the premium infantry battle line units in the game. I played against 30 Blightlord Terminators last weekend. 30.
That's
30 points per model, mate.
That is a lot of Terminators.
For a Blightlord Terminator. 30, my dude. It's a Blade Guard. So Blade Guard's 30 points. Blightlord Terminator's 30 points.
That's not okay. That's not okay.
I think it's totally okay. It's totally okay. I would love to go through all the Death Guard lists and just see how many have dropped Mortarion, because I 100% think you have to now.
I think you do. Yeah, I don't think he's worth it.
It doesn't do anything.
There's too much other stuff you can take.
Yeah, I find him so lukewarm when I should want to be impressed. Freaking Primarch. I should be like, that's scary. And then he can just be so disrespected. Like, he doesn't kill 5 intercessors half the time. Yeah. Anything else on that podium really surprised you? Great Tyrannus numbers, very high Eldari numbers. This goes against the trend we've seen in team events since WTC, where going into WTC, everyone was so sure their Eldar were going to crush it. Everyone was saying, all the Europeans, and I get to laugh at them now because I was right, they were wrong, even though they were right about everything else that I was wrong about. I got this one. I said Eldari will take the win and run. Eldari will disappoint at WTC, and they did. And in addition to that, people were saying Eldari was the second best team events in the world behind Thousand Sons. So the second best team list in the world behind Thousand Sons. And Thousand Sons were just so in a different league to them. If anything, probably Astra Militarum made their statement. If it wasn't Chaos Space Marines probably made their statement as the second best team event in the world, as in Cursed Cultists. Yeah. But anything in your region that would, or feel free to like pontificate, what's the flavor of Ontario 40K, if there's anything to be represented there here?
I can tell you that Eldari is very popular here. We have so many Eldari players, so it's not surprising to see that many of them playing it. And they're like, the Eldari players here are very good at Eldari, like very good. We have some of the best Eldari players in the country in Ontario, so seeing them play Eldari, like, so those numbers here don't really surprise me. The Drukhari numbers going up a little bit does surprise me a little bit. I know at least 3 faction specialists that are playing them right now that obviously are attending the event, but 7 is still more than I was expecting.
Yeah, me too.
Like we talked about, the Death Guard, it really surprises me. The Tau, like in terms of the actual faction itself, it doesn't surprise me that they're showing up on a podium, because Tau are incredible. I just didn't know there was that many Tau players around here.
Well, sorry, I should have asked you before. What's the terrain?
It's WTC.
Oh, fantastic.
Pure WTC.
Yeah. I assumed it was going to be WTC. Yeah. WTC terrain formats are specifically built for 8-player teams. Yeah. So everything there is designed to get the most out of the 8-player experience. And so, it makes a lot of sense to me. All right, moving on. We have one team to unpack. I've never heard of them, though. These are some stud or scrubs, as I've been informed. And their 8-pack consists
you picked my team. I'm not playing on it, but
I was only able to pick your team because you went playing.
Because I'm not playing. Yeah.
If you're playing on it, we don't double down on that nepotism. We don't cover ourselves because it's a bit too much of a expletive. But
they're not even here. Listen, they're all in the team chat right now. They're doing pairings right now. Good job, boys. I'm proud of you. That's nerds. That's good.
But I have shorthand unpacked all 8 of the lists. So this is those lists in their entirety. I'm not cutting the utility units anymore. I'm adding the whole list in, but it's all in shorthand, so forgive me if you don't understand it. First up, we have a Grey Knights Teleport Strike Force. This list I really like in teams. Drago, Triple Librarian, one of which has a sigil, 10 5/5/5 Terminators, 5 Strikes, 2x5 Interceptors, 4 Servitors. That's it. It is Hideaway Grey Knights, uppy downy Hideaway. Yep. Very similar to Jack. It's the MSU version of Jack Harpster's
it is
list,
for sure.
Where he takes 10 2x10 Terminators, 1x10 Paladins,
Mhm.
and then just kind of characters and MSU. And he's shown that to be a very strong teams list. I think this is a version of that I think also do very well. Next up, we have a Tau Kion list, 2 Fireblades, Shadow Sun, Coldstar Commander, and Enforcer Commander, 2 units of Breaches plus Devilfish, 3 Plasma suits, 3 Fusion suits. I know those are the Sunforged. I think the Plasma are the Fire Knives. I'm starting to figure those out. We have a single Ghost
You
Keel.
do this every week, right? So eventually you'll get it.
Eventually
we all will.
Yeah, I write in Plasma and Fusion because I feel like everyone will know what that is. Where if I say Fire Knife, half the audience is going to scratch their head. Single Ghost Keel, single Crutox Rider. Such a fan of the single Crutox Rider. 10 Pathfinders, a single Piranha, 3 Riptides, but only 3 Stealth Suits. Then we have Chaos Knights, Traitorous Lancer, 5 Brigands, 5 Carnivals, no allies because there's no room in that. You just get 10 littles, 1 big, and that's almost perfectly on the points. Then we have an Eldari Battle Host with an Autark Wayleaper, Death Jester, Farseer, Avatar, Corandrus, Fugan, and Solitaire. That's a lot of points for Eldar in characters, but they're all pretty good characters. 10 Guardians, 5 Fire Dragons, 5 Striking Scorpions, 5 Rangers, 5 Swooping Hawks, 3 Shroud Runners, 2 Skyweavers, 2 Falcons, and a single D Cannon, I'm assuming to be the place you put all your fate dice. Then we have an Empress Children Chaos Space Marine Renegade Raiders list.
Spicy.
Cypher, 3 Dark Communes and Lucius, because you have to take him. 2x10 Cultists, 10-5-5 Noise Marines. I don't dislike Noise Marines. I think they're pretty good. I don't know if it's up to you whether they're better or worse than Legionaries in your chosen list, detachment, etc., etc. 2 Rhinos, maximum Accursed Cultists, of course, to go with the Dark Communes. 2x3 Bikers and 2 Predator Destructors. Then we have a Drukhari list, which is a Sky Splinter Assault. This is Skari, so you just know this is going to be played extremely well. Double Archon, single Beast Pack, Lilith, 10 Cabalite Warriors, 10 Witches to go with Lilith, 2 Raiders and 2 Venoms, a quarter of the Archon to take one of the Archons, 2 single Chronos, a unit of 10 Incubi to get the other Archon, 2x5 Mandrakes, 2x5 Scourge, and 2 Void Raven Bombers. The Mad Lad. The absolute Mad Lad.
The Mad Lad.
Then we have 1,000 Suns, Cult of Magic, pretty much what you'd expect. Ahriman, an Exalted Sorcerer on disc. 2 Infernal Masters, Magnus, a Sorcerer, a Zangor Shaman, 4 units of 5 Rubrics, 10 Zangors, 2 Middleth Vortex Beasts, 2x10 Cultists. Pretty stock standard, exactly what you'd expect. And then lastly, the other Knights. We have the Imperial Knights, Noble Lance. Canis, Rex, and a Crusader, 3 Helverins, 3 Warglaives, an Eversaw, and a Calidus Assassin. And that is the 8-pack of Stud or Scrub. I'm going to turn it over to you, mate. Tell us any insights you can tell us, or you can give us, without busting your team's hopes about how involved you've been with the construction of these lists, and what do you think their identities are in the team's matrix?
I have been 0% involved in this. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't influencing it at all. The Imperial Knights player, Eric, is the one that's captaining the team right now. So They all got together. They did want to try to do a couple SKU lists. They did talk about doing 2 plane lists. Like they were talking about trying to build another plane list, like a Necron plane list or something else to go with the Void Raven planes. Didn't end up panning out. So they just stuck with the Double Knights because Double Knights works, right?
It absolutely does. Well, so we talk about the tandem pairing SKUs a lot, especially last week, where we talked about so many people who were taking Necrons were also taking Grey Knights to have double uppy downies and just have that as to be a real problem matchup for some. You guys are taking double Knights. You've only got the single uppy downy in the Grey Knights, but you have 2 of the the 2 MSU monsters, being Eldari and Drukhari, to play that tandem game as well.
Yes.
So was that a concession?
Yes, for sure. The Grey Knights and the way this Grey Knights list is actually played, it kind of fits better with the T-Suns list, actually, in terms of its pairing.
I was about to say, where it kind of does nothing for 2 to 3 turns. Similar to that. And then on turn 2 or turn 3, it'll just have like 10 Terminators with Drago just mollywop into one of your good units.
Yeah, exactly. Then we have a couple like all-rounder lists too, like that Chaos Space Marines list. That just plays against anything. It really. Well,
that's what I saw. That's what I was seeing. I was seeing the CSM and the 1,000 Suns as being the 2 supreme team lists that can kind of just play anything. The Grey Knights I see as a very good first or second defender in the 8-pack, depending. And then the Imperial Knights just hunt a pin for whatever they put up first, whatever they put up second. If they just can't deal with Knights, congrats, here's 2 Knights. So they have to. So your opponent has to all of a sudden be supremely respectful
Yeah.
of who they try and pair with first, second, and sometimes even third.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anything else? Any other great insights there? What's the Tau there? Are they just there to try and hunt a light table and smash?
Honestly, this is like our Tau player just swapped back to Tau, so this is his first event with it. So he's still kind of finding his feet with it. But he used to play it in the past, and he's excited to play it again now. So we just said, bring what you want, and we'll
Fantastic.
see how you do.
Yep, fantastic. I will say, I think this team has a very good opportunity, very good chance of hitting a podium. Blunt Force Trauma, and there's one or two other very, very strong teams.
There are some very strong teams there.
Yeah, I think there's a Quebec team that's coming. That's going to do extremely well. And there was one other that jumped out to me. I do apologize. You probably be able to tell us who are the other strong teams in attendance.
I'm curious which one you were going to say because.
I can't remember anymore.
So yeah, the team in Quebec who just did very well at Dallas. They actually placed fourth.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
they're there. They have two teams as well. They have a second team coming in as well. Blunt Force, obviously. Center Scrub team is obviously not at full strength because myself and Cody, who's one of the other TOs there, both on the Center Scrub team. We're like the Sisters player and obviously the GSC player, scoring so many points. But us not being on there, we're sad about it. But we got some great guys to take our place on here, and we're excited to see how they do. Still a very, very strong team. There's actually a lot of teams that are showing up that, like, we know our local meta. There's a lot of new teams that we haven't seen before, and there's a lot of teams that in previous events didn't do very well as they were just like getting their feet under them. But now their team has like grown and they've got new players. It's going to be anybody's game. It's actually really exciting, and it will be getting streamed on Tabletop Live, so you can watch these games live.
Ooh, very nice. Can't wait. Awesome people over at Tabletop Live. Enjoyed meeting them at WTC. What would you like? I've picked Thousand Suns because, of course, I'm not letting you pick first on your own event. What would you like, mate?
I am going to take Chaos Space Marines.
That was my other pick. I coin flipped in my head and T-Suns came up. We have one more event for your viewing pleasure. Nice, big, thick show for yours. It is the Flying Monkey Con from Wichita, Kansas. 125 players and 6 rounds. Take it away, Dusty. What we're going to see?
The Imperial Super Faction, there are 7 Sisters of Battle, 5 Custodes, 2 Admech, 7 Astra Militarum, 2 Grey Knights, and 4 Imperial Knights. Space Marines, there's 8 Adeptus Astartes, 6 Dark Angels, 5 Space Wolves, 5 Blood Angels, 5 Black Templar. Chaos, there's 1 Chaos Titan?
Correct.
What?
He's just
I had to pause there.
He's got a Warhound, a Great Unclean One, I think a Knight Desecrator, and some Nurglings, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever actually seen a Chaos Titan faction on this show before.
I had to do a triple take. I had to like, okay.
What?
So cool, man. So cool.
That's incredible.
If he wins a game, absolutely.
A single game. It doesn't matter. They just.
Yeah, one game.
Wow.
1 and 5. Let's do it.
1 and 5. Then you are a winner. You're
champion.
The winner, an absolute champion. 4 Chaos Space Marines, 4 T-Suns, 3 Death Guards, 7 World Eaters, 2 Demons, and 3 Chaos Knights. Xenos, there's 12 Necrons, 2 Orcs, 2 Tau, and 6 Votan. Hive Mind, there's 6 Tyranids, 2 G-Stealer Cult. And Eldari, there are 2 Drukhari and 4 Eldari. I mean, the faction podium is Necrons topping it off pretty high up there with 12. Adeptus Astartes close behind them with 8. And then World Eaters, Astra Militarum, and Sisters at 7 behind them. Necrons really coming out in the podium in the singles events.
Necrons taking over once again. Pretty much, you'd have to say for the if we had to just slap down who's been the best, most represented and winningest faction of 10th edition so far, it's pretty much probably Necrons.
It's definitely Necrons.
Considering we had almost 6 months of Canoptic Court being the boogeyman of the
Why
meta
before we all again? Don't bring that up.
Yeah, and then now it's just like they just pivoted straight into Hypercrypt. It took them some time to get the skill set, to change the skill set of just like lol push to uppy downy, actually using like more than 5% of their brains.
Yeah. Turns out
I'm throwing some shade.
Picking anything up
some bad shade.
every turn and then deep striking within 3 inches. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
You know?
But a completely different skill set.
It
completely different skill set.
It's it was the opposite.
Playing funny buggers with your monolith, oh cool, you tried to kill me, back to the monolith we go. Regen, back out we come. Yeah, really good list in the Hypercrypt. And once again, it's a list that even in its reds, even in games you should not win, you can still win.
Oh, for sure.
You can still win reds.
Absolutely.
And there are very few armies in the current game that kind of don't have a rock, paper, scissors. Like there's always, if you're scissors, there's always like, it's always a little rock. It's not a boulder like some other people do. Scissors versus boulder.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's a scissors versus pebble. You're still not advantaged, but you can do it because you got shenanigans for days.
I like it.
Or you take very, very good advantage of mistakes by your opponent.
Yeah, maybe try to force them out with some of your movement and just making them make bad decisions.
Very surprised this week we're seeing a return to vanilla Astartes this week.
That's crazy. Actually, we see like they're actually almost every event. Not Studs and Snotlings, but they're very
well represented.
In fact, they're top represented of the factions except for Studs and Snotlings. Which is it? All Ultramarines just like Gladius, or is it Vanguard? Not Vanguard.
There's it's most, so there's a bunch of Ultramarines Gladiuses. There's a couple of Firestorms, Salamander Firestorms, and there's actually some Ironstorms in there as well. It's actually some
Ironstorms too. Yeah. So it's not even one thing. It's just everybody going, let's go back to vanilla.
Well, in my mind, there's still a lot of people there just fluffy playing their no-two factions, which totally awesome. It's awesome to see those people out in droves attending, big events the world over. But right now, vanilla Astartes have the worst win rate in the world, percentile-wise. And that would be because a lot of the time, that's their people's first armies.
Yeah, it's
true. We got to take that result with a grain of salt, because we did see a very unique and, I got to say, mind-boggling Ultramarines Gladius win a top place at teams event in Spain last week.
That's true.
Where they just got 520s.
Yeah.
And I looked at that list and I'm like, how?
Just how?
How? They had like 3 assault centurions and like 6. So I do really like the 6 blade guard plus Marnius. I actually quite like that. I think that list is that is kind of a cool unit that I'm interested in.
Okay, yeah, I could be down with that one. But there's just better options. I have no other way to say it. But again, people bringing it for the first time, going to their first event, or just getting some event experience. By all means, that's what we want. Get in here, have some fun.
Adeptus Sororitas not making it higher than, I think, 3rd place in any of our. Yep, they were in 5th place in Stud or Snotling. And where were they in LGT? They were 4th place, so not better than 3rd place in representation in any of our events.
Still represented. I mean,
when you combine all the players from these 3 events, we're talking about almost 1,100 players, give or take, probably 1,130 or 40. And there's just actually not that many sister players when you break it all down.
Well, I guess maybe it's because there's a lot of hobby work that goes into them. Actually, there's one sisters player at Studs and Stallings. His sister's army is pure chaos, like fully converted to chaos. It is gorgeous. It is amazing. But
please give photos.
Yes, for sure. Remind me when I'm there. I will definitely get photos of it. Keith, if you're watching,
appreciate it.
Respect, because wow, they ever look cool.
All right, last list we're going to be breaking down for your viewing pleasure. This is Justin Moore, ranked 3rd in the ITC in the USA. We did have, I think, Kit Smith, who's also in the top 10 in the USA, but he was also playing Necrons and I couldn't be bothered. So Justin Moore's got a Hypercrypt Legion with a very unique build for Hypercrypt. We have seen this before, but I'm very excited to see how this does. Here, we have a Chronomancer with Dimensional Overseer, a Plasmancer with Arisen Tyrant, 2x20 Warriors, 2x5 Death Marks, Canoptic Reanimator, a Canoptic Spider, 2 DDAs, that being Doomsday Arcs, and 2 Monoliths. This is sick. I would like to play this list. This is awesome.
You love the Warrior Bricks?
I love the Warrior Bricks. I want the Warrior Bricks to be so good. I was so happy in 9th edition when Warrior Bricks were like amazing for like the first 6 months. They were phenomenal, and then they all just started getting picked up in one turn because everyone just decided we were going to smash Warriors.
So what do you think
in our armies?
Why do you think they're going to be? Why do you think they're worth it at this point?
So a couple of different reasons. I think they play a board control version of Hypercrypt that the other lists can't play. Okay. So there's pretty much nothing in Hypercrypt outside of 20 Warriors or 10 Lich Guard that's going to go onto a middle objective in some matchups and give you that primary score in the following command phase. So I think adding that to Hypercrypt is a very powerful thing you can do because it's the one kind of thing that they cannot do consistently. Where I have concerns is that with Black Tide, Promos Crusaders with the Cursed Cultists coming back into the meta strong. I'm worried they're going to get squished. That there's still so many things out here that can like one turn a unit of 20 warriors, even with they have a 5-up invulnerable save. And I believe they're going to be rotating because they've only got one Chronomancer, so only one of them is going to have a 5-up invulnerable save.
Right.
Of the two of them. So one of them is going to be like playing kind of on the expansion, I believe. And then the other one's going to be out to the middle, score, beam back to the monolith, out to the middle, score, beam back to the monolith. That kind of stuff is how I see this playing. And then what I love about the 20 warriors is that there are very few armies that will one unit, like that will 1-for-1 the warriors. And so that forces things out into the open for the DDAs and the monoliths to start really popping off. I also love the fact that it's Hypercrypt with no Catan.
I've seen a lot more Hypercrypt without Catan lately.
Yeah, I usually see like a Nightbringer in pretty much all
of
this
that's fair.
He's busted.
That's fair.
He's the most powerful model per base size.
like a 25mm base.
He's on a freaking 40, mate. He's on a 40. You can get a Terminator on a 40 or a Nightbringer on a 40.
That's one of these things is not like the other.
Correct. I should have said Terminator. I should have said like single Inceptor. Single Inceptor on a 40. But so a lot of the time you see like one Catan in with your Hypercrypt. Some people go 4 Catan Hypercrypt. But I think this brings a beautiful balance. The only thing it doesn't have is melee. Doesn't have any melee oomph. And this may be a concession to the terrain. We don't quite know what the terrain that Flying Monkey is going to be. But I love and I really want 20 warriors to be good. I really do. Really do. The only thing that I'm quizzical about is the single Chronomancer. There's, like I said, he's only got one unit that's going to have a 5-up invulnerable save. So the other unit's going to be so much easier to dunk on. Which makes me...
looks of it, that's going to be this kill unit, right? Because it's Plasmamancer has some Chronon 5s. So
yeah. So he's got one unit to do damage, one unit to not die.
Yeah, exactly. So I like the dichotomy.
So yeah, I liked it, and I really like 3-inch deep strike on 20 warriors.
Yes, that is terrifying.
Yeah, so it's very likely that the Chronomancer unit is the saturation unit, is the denial unit, whereas 20 warriors just go get on a hard angle, smash a unit, you try and respond, they beam out, and you're back to regen a couple of times with the reanimator and just send them on back.
Well, honestly, there's also that one little tech piece, like it looks odd in there with the Kinetic Spider giving 6-up feel no pain to monoliths.
And a repair, right? Repairs as well for D3?
I don't know.
Actually, I don't know if it does.
I don't think
someone in chat.
I think it repairs scarabs. It repairs scarabs, not
okay. Yeah.
But it gives a 6-up feel no pain aura to the monolith, I'm pretty sure, and like that really skews the math on a model with that many wounds.
Really does. Really does. Especially when they got a 4-up invulnerable save.
Yeah.
It's very hard to think you can just dunk it. It gets very, very awkward. In saying that, there are some lists in here that will do very well. And there's some lists in here that won't do very well. I see this as being a anti-Sisters Necron list.
Yeah.
Actually,
honestly, any MSU would actually struggle against this, ironically.
I mean, dude, Eldar is just, this is Eldar nightmare. They can't kill the monoliths anyway.
Yeah.
Like, what are they going to do? They have to get the freaking avatar to go stab it to kill it.
Yeah. You got to get through 40 warriors first.
Yeah, no chance. So yeah, this thing will clown Eldar, unfortunately, and I do think Sisters will have some problems with it. If they don't, like 2x10 Seraphim Sisters probably don't have as much troubles. But if you only have a single Seraphim unit, and or you don't have any Seraphim, any of the big blocks of Seraphim at all, you actually just don't have a single unit that has enough shots to do anything meaningful to 20 warriors with a 5-up.
Right.
Yeah. So I think this is anti-Sisters if I had to guess. But there are armies like World Eaters that will struggle against this. Like you have to go in with 6 Exalted 8-bound to kill 20 warriors, otherwise they'll beam out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mind you, he will pay full price for the beam outs. That's pretty much exclusively where he's putting all his CP. He's got no Stormlord. He has no Lords in there, Overlords to make it cheaper as well.
It's so lean, though. Like, it's hard to think of what he would take out to do that.
Yeah.
Because you really need the reanimator when you're running 40 warriors.
Correct, you do. Yeah, you do. So in my mind, the way I would combat this is just smash the death marks immediately. Get the death as soon as they appear, get rid of them. And then it's actually very awkward. How are you going to score your cards? You're going to use 20 warriors to get containment, mate? I think so.
Yeah. What else is he going to do with it? Oh, Doomsday Arch might do it. Yeah. We never know.
Yeah, still, that's for DDAs not shooting, it's doing an action. You're happy. Happy days.
It's true.
Yeah. Monolith super heavies? Or is it? It's super heavy walker
Titanic?
that gets to do it. That gets to shoot and still do actions, right? Or is it all super heavies?
No, I think it's just the walkers. I'm pretty sure. I don't think
For some reason,
Monolith
I think it's just walkers.
I'm near positive Monolith can't. So
Yeah, I'm almost positive. Exactly right. I'm almost
Yeah.
positive Monolith can't. But anyway, that is Justin Moore's list. It's also going to do very well. And we're going to roll a 50-50. Give me a dice. You got 1, 2, 3, or 4, 5, 6?
give me 1, 2, 3. I roll that better.
You lose. I'm picking Necrons. Once again, Paul defaults himself to Blood Angels. What do you want, brother?
I'm just gonna go with the meta. I'm gonna take Thousand Suns.
So we all lost out on a phenomenal amount of points last week by not picking Adeptus Sororitas at all. And once again, none of us picked Adeptus Sororitas. It's very interesting.
What? This isn't a team event, though.
One of them is a team event.
True. But this one's
Like,
not.
this whole week, we have once again not picked Adeptus Sororitas. And last week, if one of us had just picked Adeptus Sororitas consistently, the points would have been uncatchable. They would have been uncatchable in points. Would have been ridiculous. But anyway, that is the end of our coverage of this week's events. Hope you guys are super hype for all the amazing 40k glory that will be heaped upon some individuals this week, and hopefully everyone who's attending those events has an incredible time. My dude, we've got a shortened Fuego for your viewing pleasure. And if you do not know, if you're joining us for the very first time because you heard LGT is a good time and you wanted to find out some more, hopefully you did. In addition, we have a little palate cleanser at the end of the show where we just do some silly stuff. This week's theme was some answers TOs want, but I think we're going to be shelving that and waiting for our full panel of the meta. We're just going to do our 40k meme segment where I think Dustin will explain this segment to people.
So this just kind of happened randomly. We just put up one random meme that has been on the internet forever because memes are completely abundant on the internet. They always will be. And we take 2 minutes and we try to make as many associations with that meme. Try to make it 40k based as much as possible.
Yep.
And we go from there. You guys can join in too. We like doing that.
We did just have a question in chat, Dustin. Maybe you can answer that if we're ever going to post again on Spotify.
Yes. It should have been posting. If it has been posting, then there has been an error, and I will fix it tonight to make sure that we get it posted. So yes.
Thank you, mate. And thanks for the question. We were unaware of that, so definitely
we don't know unless you tell us. So thank you. That helps. I will look into that because we will definitely be doing that. Like I have it open right now to put this one up.
So how many podcasts do you do a week?
3.
You do 3 a week. I do 4 a week. Paul does 2 a week. We have a lot of balls in the air juggle wise. So sometimes we need some information from our audience. All right, mate. What's our meme?
The meme for this week is the orangutan hitting the keyboard. If you haven't seen this meme, well, you have to watch the video of it. It's an orangutan banging on the keyboard and then face bombing, and it is the first time I ever saw this. I laughed so hard. I don't even remember what the caption on it was. I just thought it was funny. I loved it. So 2 minutes on the clock.
So I will tell you, this happened to me last week when I played against Triple Beast Pack Drakari, and this was me directly after rolling for first turn and going second. I was like, roll. Ah, shit. Roll the 2. We got put in Beast Pack jail. I didn't make it out of my deployment zone until turn 3.
Oof.
And I was lucky to make it out in turn 3.
This is every single player on their phones at LGT when pairings go live round 1 and BCP crashes.
Ooh.
It happened at the LVO I went to in 2018, 2019? 2019.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was there also.
That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
Because everybody
have Tristan, WTC Team Canada doing pairings. I would say no. WTC Team Canada hitting refresh right before the pods went live for WTC, finding out they were in potted with Poland.
Yeah. Refresh. I can't
the
be
pods
it.
are live. Refresh. Oh no.
That's good.
That was excellent, actually. That was a great shout. What else? rolling your 9-inch charge from reserve to win the game. Yep. Having a 9 from reserve to win a game, and just like 7 into 3 or something, some nonsense like that.
Being on Warhammer
Yep.
communities on the day you thought a Daily Slate was supposed to drop.
Yeah, well, we're on Slate Watch at the moment.
Oh my god, I am so happy it didn't drop. I am so happy.
Oh, before your event.
Oh
yeah,
my god,
100%.
I was so nervous. Like, please don't drop. Please don't drop. Please don't drop.
Don't invalidate my work, please.
One more, Adam. You got
being
this.
Being the first put up, being the very first put up, and forgetting your opposition team has the best pin possible. And then they slap down just the giant douche and turd sandwich, flip them up, and you're like, under the bus. All right. That's going to be end of our very fabulous, I believe, episode 67 of the Warhammer Meta Chasers. Hopefully you enjoyed Jack Nicholson joining us for this one.
He looks very upset.
Oscar winning. He does look very upset. I wonder what would Jack Nicholson play? What army?
Oh, we play Imperial Guard. Like, there's no question.
Guard or Custodies, right?
No, he needs bodies to throw away. He needs bodies to throw away.
Yeah, he does. He's looking at the new Bulgrim points right now.
He is. He's very excited with the new Bulgrim points.
Anyway, that is going to be the end of our show. Come and join us towards the end of next week over in the Patreon at tier 2 to get your juicy part 2. We're going to be looking back and recapping all of the amazing events we covered today. Hopefully you'll join us over there. We always say this at some point, but I will let you guys know I do all the stats for the show. And it's 2 hours that I have to set aside every single week to make sure we have the right stats, we have the right information, and that everything's polished enough to do this show. I never thought I'd be doing a weekly PowerPoint presentation. I never thought that was on my life's bingo card because I loathed doing them in high school. But every week I do the PowerPoint, I do the stats. It takes quite a bit of time. I do love doing it. But if you would like to support us in our adventures to keep chasing this meta, come and join us over on Patreon at Warhammer Meta Chasers. Hope to see you there. Dustin, good luck with your event, mate.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with it.
Super
Hopefully
excited.
it goes very smooth. No crashes.
No crashes. No, it's okay. It's only 26 teams, so 13 games.
Are you going to bring everybody with everyone's phones past the front desk and anoint them with oils?
That's a good idea.
Everyone's
Just make
phones,
sure.
anoint them.
We should do that for singles events.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And on that note, we are out of here. Feel free to say anything you'd like to say. Shout out any of your mates who are going to be in contention this week in the chat. Or Dustin, shout out your mates as well.
I just want to shout out everybody attending events this weekend. Ours and London GT and Flying Monkey. Everywhere you're playing an event, make sure you have fun, play fast, play fair, and have a good weekend.
See you guys.
See ya.